Hello, my family. So, I have been wanting a pizza. I really have. And I think it was last weekend, hubby and we took a trip to Kroger. We were in the area, so we decided to go check out the store. And we found some products there that I never thought could be possible. We've never tried it yet. And now that I'm wanting a pizza, I really want to try that pizza oven. So I'm going to wait and see if hubby gets off early enough today for us to actually make our pizza in that pizza oven. If not, we're going to try another time. This ain't going to be our first time. Now, I'm going to introduce you to products that we found. Don't know nothing about them yet. We've never tried this. But King Arthur evidently has keto wheat to make bread out of and keto wheat pizza crust. So for my diabetic husband, one 12-inch piece of pizza, this actually makes two in this mix. So one 12-inch pizza, which is 16 slices, is one net carb a piece. That's just for the crust, y'all. That's not for the topping too. So that gives him an opportunity to enjoy a pizza without guilt, supposedly. Of course, we will test this, but it's worth trying. And both of them are from King Arthur. So I am going to be making his pizza with this, and I am actually going to be using a yeasted crust that I had made for me. So with that, I also like the marguerite pizzas. You all know that. But that's going to require fresh mozzarella. Unfortunately, I am finding that for a small 1 pound pack, having to pay $8 for it is crazy. Hang on, y'all. Turn this off for a minute. So, with paying that much, I can get a gallon of milk, whole milk, pasteurized from my grocery store for almost $4, and I am going to show you how to make homemade mozzarella cheese. Now, I also have a couple questions I'd like to ask you that I'm considering about dipping my feet into. So I don't know much about it. I have been doing some research today, and I thought I would ask you your opinions and some of the better that maybe you can help me with, some of the better mills and everything. I'm going to get with you just a moment on this topic because this is something I am highly interested in, and I am really, really considering it for several reasons, and I'll explain what that is. Alright, y'all, I'm sorry about that. I've been waiting on garden soil to come back in, and unfortunately, it's not coming in yet. Oh, they got the mulch in, but they don't have the garden soil yet, so I'm still waiting. I still got a few beds to fill up. Anyways, so my topic and subject with you at the moment, before we get to making our cheese, is milling my own wheat flour. I am finding or hearing that having to mill our own isn't just great for having fresh wheat on hand, but to mill my own wheat flour would be really top-notch into the Mediterranean world, because that's exactly what they spend time in, is using fresh, or not just fresh, but whole wheat. And so that would give me an option maybe to make pasta out of, or, you know, venturing into making my own homemade bread. The other thing about doing the milling, from what I'm seeing in my research, is basically the stuff that we buy from the stores is been nutrient removed. And being able to add those nutrients back into my diet by milling my own wheat berries would give me an opportunity that much more, that if I do enjoy bread every once in a while, I can actually put nutrients and vitamins back into my body from what was spent out from the stuff that I've purchased. See, I didn't know about all this. My question would be, though, these things are not cheap. The mills can be reasonable but not cheap. And so I am wondering, is it even worth milling my own wheat berries? And then there's a few companies that I got a hold of that is reasonable price to store berries with, as they do tend to last longer, way longer than already store-bought flowers. So my question again is it worth it? If any of you have had experience where you are milling your own flowers, if you are actually making homemade bread from this, even with your sourdough, let me know your opinion, and is it worth me to even pursue to keep looking into maybe possibly doing this and getting into milling my own flowers, that I can make my own products without losing all the nutrients and vitamins. So I'm actually coming to you and your opinions. I know many of you who are subscribed to me are also homesteaders, and maybe you are being able to, from what I'm understanding, some of you are way bigger than I am. So maybe you have already started venturing into this and things that I'm looking at, and so you can be the one to help me. And is this right? Is this something that has benefited you, or is it something you just don't use very often? Let me know all of this. Let me know what you feel. How does the bread taste, and how does it work out for you? The areas where you think is the best mill, so far I'm looking in two. One is called Wonderworks. The other is called Nutramil. So I'm looking at these two wheat mills, and then there are three companies that I'm looking at getting my wheat berries. One is 4th-generation farmers, but they are the most expensive side. So there are two others to look into. Now, Azure Standard for me would not be a really great place, because the nearest pickup for me is almost an hour away, and that would be in Tupelo. So to me, it's not really worth ordering from Azure Standards when you have to go to pick up and they don't come to the house. So I would be venturing into looking in other means, per se, for that matter. Although I would love Azure Standard, but for the price of what they have, I'd just rather do it where it comes straight to my house instead. So let me know what you think about this. I am very seriously looking into, and I told you all, the more Mediterranean I get into, the more I'm wanting to find out where my better options are, what is better for me. And a lot of the grains area, I am seeing whole wheat flours. So I am actually looking into that. There's whole wheat red berries, which that can be used for a lot of different type of breads. And now I'm wondering, is it possible even using grained milled wheat or berries to make your own pasta out of instead of the store-bought? So yes, I'm looking into this. So please, I'm asking you, give me your opinion, because when I'm down for a little bit, this is going to be something I'm going to look into. So I thought I would ask your opinion and see if you would give me feedback, because this is an area I have not ventured into yet. Now, I do make some great bread, I will admit that, but I've also heard that this is a whole new experience. So let me know what you think about that. Now, with that question being asked and the reasons why I'm looking into it, let's go into the kitchen. It has been over a year, maybe two, almost two, I'd say, at least a year since I've made homemade mozzarella cheese. I really want a margherita pizza, so that requires fresh mozzarella. So let's go make some cheese. Okay, my family, so we're going to need a stainless steel pot and stainless steel equipment. You don't want to use aluminum, and you want to have clean equipment. We are using whole milk. You do not want to use anything really less than whole milk, so we're using whole milk, and this needs to be pasteurized. If you're going to use store-bought milk and you don't have fresh cream, or be able to get a hold of fresh cream like I can't, you want pasteurized. If you're using ultra pasteurized, you will not get nothing out of this, y'all, because they have removed basically all the cream from your milk. So I'm going to go ahead and add this whole entire gallon of milk, into my pot because we're going to turn this whole thing into mozzarella cheese and whey. You're going to need a half a tablet of rennet, and I'm using the animal rennet basically. You can find these on Amazon. Rennet is fairly cheap for a nice package of it, and you can make several batches of cheese out of one strip. So you can find rennet, R-E-N-N-E-T, not junk rennet. There's a product called junk rennet. You really want to use cheese rennet. And then you're going to need some citric acid. Again, you can find this on Amazon as well. And I am going to be using some distilled water this time, or purified drinking water, instead of using my tap water. I've been told that using tap water can take away from my rennet, so I'm going to try it with distilled water. Right now we're going to add this, and I needed to actually add my citric acid to this when I put it in the pot, so I'm probably going to put this in something else right now and start over, but I need to get my citric acid, so hang on a minute. Okay, y'all, so I'm just going to add the citric acid to this and mix it up really good before I heat it. I need 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid. And I need 1/4 cup of my distilled water. And we're going to mix that up really good, and we're going to make sure that the citric acid is dissolved before adding this to my milk. Okay, so now I'm going to mix this up really good. And then I'll show you how I'm going to add this to my milk. Actually, I'm going to distribute it in the same way I'm actually going to do when I go and add the rennet to this as well. But I'm not going to mix my rennet just yet. I'm going to wait till about 10 degrees in my heat. My optimal, what I am looking for, is about 88 to 90 degrees in my milk. So when I get to about 80 degrees, I'm going to start adding the water to my rennet and getting that dissolved. Okay, so my citric acid is now dissolved, and I am actually going to pour this into my spoon and then mix this up really good. Okay, now we got that. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat on. I'm going to make sure I have a good thermometer to test when this hits about 90 degrees. When it does, we're going to take this off the stove, and we are going to be adding our rennet. So I'm going to get this put aside for a minute. We're going to get this heated up, and once this is heated up, we'll be right back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, y'all, so I am currently at 84 degrees, and I am going to be adding 1/4 cup of distilled water into my half tablet of rennet. Once I get to 90 degrees, we're going to want this in there. You don't want to let your rennet sit too much, so we're going to go ahead and actually get this dissolving now so that we can get that into our milk. Okay, so we have reached 90 degrees. Now we're wanting to add our rennet to our milk. And I am going to pour this rennet over the top all the way around my milk. And then take this up and down motion, no more than 10 seconds. And that's just to mix it all in. Alright, so we're going to still this as much as possible. I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to put a lid on this, and we're going to allow this to sit for 30 minutes. This is going to allow the rennet and all to set up our curd. So we're going to come back in about 30 minutes, and we'll see what the process is, if we have to wait longer or if we can go ahead and cut our curd. So we will be back. Okay, y'all, so I went an extra 10 minutes only because, well, I got busy and I didn't pay attention. But we have our curd set up. So I'm going to take a long knife and I am going to cut this into 1-inch cubes all the way through this to the bottom of the pan. Turn this around. Same way across this way. And depending on how much cream is in milk these days will depend on how much mozzarella you can get. Now I do know that the milk that I got from Kroger turned out a lot better. I had a really nice stock of feta cheese, but this one came from Save-A-Lot in our town. Now I'm just going to swirl basically my cheese curds like so. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that breaking up. So I'm just going to swirl this. I'm going to allow this to sit for a few minutes because I want this to heal a bit before we heat again. And this time we're going to bring it up to about 105 degrees. So after we did this and then we cut it, let's see what our next, make sure I'm doing this right. Yep, breaking up the curds. 105 to 108 degrees, and then we're going to remove it and cover it and allow it to sit another 30 minutes. And this is going to allow our curds actually to drop to the bottom. Now we're not going to stir this per se, as we are going to stir it like swirling like so. So at this point I'm going to let this just sit for a few minutes, let this heal, and then we're going to go ahead and put this on the stove, and we will be right back. Okay, my friends, so we are actually going to stir this up, then we can mix it together. Currently, we turned our heat just on now. We are sitting at 83 degrees. So we are going to let this come up to heat of 105 degrees, and then we're going to be pulling this off the heat again. And we're just going to occasionally come in here and stir this up. Now, I will tell you, in the process of mozzarella cheese, you're going to need a good strong pair of gloves, because at one point when it comes to stretching your cheese, this is going to get hot on your hands. You're going to need it hot to be able to stretch and melt it per se, stretch it to get that shine that we need for our cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep stirring this every now and then until this comes up to temp. Once it comes up to temp, I'm going to be pulling this off, and then we're going to let it sit for, I believe it was another 30 minutes. And then to let the curds and all fall to the bottom. And then we're going to strain this and start being able to work with our mozzarella so we can use it for supper tonight. Once I get this to temp, we'll be right back. Okay, before I go on with the cheese, y'all, I want to share something else. Over the summer, I had some extra cans of tomato paste, so I decided to go and do an experiment and turn those paste into tomato leather strips. I then turned around and tore these strips into pieces, and I have stored them just like so in my pantry all this time over the winter. So the main reason I did this was to see if I can reconstitute this back into tomato paste to use it for whatever I need it for, whether it had been using it for sauce or for our pizza. And I am happy to say it reconstitutes very well. You see how thick that is? I just added a little bit of hot water. I let this sit, and y'all, it's paste. It's back to the same paste that I had when I dehydrated this. So instead of just making this into powder to reconstitute this, I can literally make it into roll-ups the same way, and I can have my sauce again or my paste again. So I thought I'd share this with you in case any of you get those, well, those number 10 cans of stuff that you like. If you've got a dehydrator that will do roll-up strips like this, you can easily store these up in your pantry. This is another way of doing that. Putting it in an airtight container, storing it up in a cool, dry place, and you can have paste dried. So I will be using this evening for our pizza. This was good to know that I can actually do this. I happened to have forgotten that I had done this actually. So I am going to now use this tonight, and I have some extra paste. That's pretty cool. So we'll be right back. Okay, my friends, so I will tell you straight up, this is a total flop. This is not going to work, and I'm going to have to go a different route for my cheese for my pizza tonight, because my oven decided, or stove actually, decided to have a hair up its tail end like it's done before when I was canning, and just nonchalantly raised its temperature up high and cooked my cheese too fast, too hot. So I have a nice sized portion of ricotta cheese. So we will be doing this video again. I promise you that. In the meantime, I'm not going to waste this because I can use this for another dish. I'm just going to turn around and string this up. I'm going to get all of the liquid out of this. I'm going to set something on top of it and press this liquid out of this cheese, and we will have some nice ricotta. I'm going to lay this on the side over here. And this is part of homesteading. Sometimes things just don't work, but nobody shows it. Well, I'm showing it. So one of those days, y'all, just one of those days. So I'm just going to add something heavy on it in just a second here. And we're just going to let that whey come out of this cheese. I'm going to put it up, and then I'll have some more dry form of ricotta. Wash this bowl that I had it in, and then I'm just going to set this on top of it, and then let this sit and strain out. So I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, so that was a total flop. In a way, I mean, I still got ricotta cheese, but this was a combination of my cheese got cooked too fast, too hot, and the fact is, really, there was not a lot of cream in that milk. I'm finding this out a lot. It's like they're adding more water than they are cream and calling it whole milk. When you are actually drinking this, you don't know. But when you make cheese out of it, you can tell. And by the amount of what I'm seeing I'm getting out of this, it is definitely showing there is more water in that gallon of milk than there was cream. This is the second time. Now that one was from Save-A-Lot. The first time I did that was from Walmart. I have had very good success so far out of the one from Kroger and Aldi. So if you are wanting to make homemade cheese, these are the two places I would suggest right now to get your whole milk to make your cheese with. You're going to end up getting more cream out of your milk and a better result. I'm going to show you the feta cheese that I did yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and show you that I got over a pound of feta in my half-gallon jar. We'll be right back. All right, y'all. There is, I don't know if you can see that, chunks. There is a good amount of chunks of feta, and this thing is absolutely full with feta cheese. So, and that was from the Kroger milk. So I'm just going to suggest, if you want to do this, I will try this again, and I'm either going to Aldi or back over to Kroger to get another gallon to try this with y'all again. I'm not done. I'm going to show you how to make your own mozzarella cheese, because it is worth it. Now for me, I'm actually going to have to take blocks of cheese, and unfortunately I can't do it the authentic way, but I'm going to make it the best way I can by just grating mozzarella and putting it on my pizza. I'm going to have the same aspect, but not the same type of cheese, which bums me out because I actually like the authentic. But sometimes things in life just don't work out the way you expect them to do, and that is one of the prime examples of what homesteading is. Sometimes things just don't work the way you would expect them to. So, that was on this video, and if there was anything in this video that I accomplished, not that I'm going to edit it, because I want you to be able to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, if at all possible, of what can happen on the homestead, even if you're trying to do everything self-sufficiently for yourself. These are things that can actually happen, y'all. And so I won't call this video a fail. I will say it's a lesson learned. So with that, it's also a lesson to learn to see what we're paying for, y'all. We're not paying for whole milk, that's for sure. I hate to see what 1% or 2% milk is. And definitely skim milk. Are we drinking more water than cream? Who knows? Much love to you. I'm sorry things didn't work out the way they should have, y'all. But again, lesson learned. I love you. And until next time, much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.